Hello, my name is Maria Toka. I'm a freelance graphic designer, and today I'd like to talk to you about font choice. More specifically, I'm going to talk about 6 classic timeless fonts that are going to help you deal with almost any design project. And before we start, I would like to quickly give you a little disclaimer in terms of terminology I'm going to use. I'm going to use the word fonts a lot. And most of the times when I say fonts, I actually mean typefaces. And I know there is a difference between these two words, that a typeface includes the entire family of different styles, of different fonts, and one font is just one of them. I'm aware of that, but I can't help it. I use these terms interchangeably. It doesn't mean that it's correct in terms of the actual meaning, but I think a lot of designers do that, and just let us relax a little bit. Don't take this life too seriously. I'm aware of what I'm saying. It's not because of ignorance, it's because it's more convenient. Alright, sometimes when it comes to choosing a font, it can be a pretty daunting and tedious process. And it can take up a lot of hours searching for the right one that would fit your design, your project, and even longer if you need to pick a few of them and to pair them together to make sure they will match. And it can be a fun experience, depends how you look at it. But there is one issue. That is very, very time consuming, and it can take up all day. So yeah, on one hand, it gives you a lot of opportunities, a big collection, big variety of fonts, because you can express almost any idea, any emotion, any concept that you have in mind if you pick the right font for it. But again, like I said, it's very time consuming. So sometimes you may want to skip that fun part and save your time and choose something reliable, something that you know is going to work for sure, something that you've used multiple times. It has always worked. And that's why it's pretty handy to have a few timeless classic fonts that are going to help you out in this case. And there can be multiple reasons for you to go with that approach. First of all, if you feel really overwhelmed, maybe you're just starting out, you're a beginner designer and scares you that many fonts and you don't want to make the wrong choice. In this case, it makes sense to start with classics. Another reason could be if you're just lazy and you don't want to spend so much time, it sounds too challenging for you, and this is not really good reason. It sounds more like an excuse, but it's up to you if you prefer doing that. I mean, who am I to judge you? Another more justifiable reason can be that the project you're dealing with actually doesn't require that many fonts. It's not focused on grabbing attention. Its purpose not to express anything, any emotion or feeling. It's more informative, and legibility, it's much higher priority rather than making it look a certain way, making it look pretty. The next reason could be that that's your purpose. You're after that clean, minimalist look, and that's your concept. In this case, yeah, obviously it makes sense to stick with classics, with something reliable and really well professionally designed. Also, if typography is not the main focus in your design and you're going to create a visual interest with something else, with some striking imagery, for example, but not with typography. Or maybe you're going to create a visual interest in your text, but not in the shape of a letter itself, but with the help of additional visual effects that you're going to apply later on, and you need just simple fonts. In that case, it makes sense as well. Another very common reason could be that you just simply don't have time to choose any specific font, and your deadline is upcoming and you're just stressed out, don't want to mess up this project. You need something that you know for sure is going to work fine, and that's another good reason, I would say. So no matter what your reason is, it's very handy to have a few really good timeless classic fonts in your repertoire. And the biggest benefits of those fonts are that they don't look outdated and they are not associated with a certain time period because they've been used in all sorts of different ways, and that's why they're so versatile. You can use them for multiple different projects. I mean, how cool is that? Depending on the designers and their personal preferences, these typefaces might vary. Personally, I've included 6 widely used and highly recognizable classics, 3 serifs and 3 sans serifs. And the first one is Caslon. Well, this is not a history lesson, but I'll quickly say that it was designed a long time ago, in the early 18th century, by an English type founder, William Caslon, and it quickly gained popularity in England and later in the American colonies. It's defined by its classic proportions, elegant serifs, and balanced letter forms. The contrast between thick and thin strokes are pretty moderate. It also features sturdy serifs and subtle bracketing, so it doesn't catch the eye too much, which makes it highly versatile. Its clarity and readability makes it suitable for long-form text, while its elegance and charm lend themselves to branding and display purposes. Personally, I love Caslon. When I need a little bit of a classy look in my design, I use it. But at the same time, it's not too elegant and feminine, not like Vogue magazine style fonts like D. for example. And the next timeless typeface I'd like to talk about is Garamond. It's named after Claude Garamond, a French punch cutter and type designer who lived during the Renaissance period in the 16th century, which is 2 centuries earlier than William Caslon, for the record. It's also renowned for its classic, elegant appearance. It has delicate serifs, even stroke weights, and a harmonious balance between thick and thin strokes. If we compare it to Caslon, Garamond has more delicate and refined appearance, and its letter forms often have a more calligraphic quality. It also has a slightly smaller X height and longer ascenders and descenders, which are the vertical strokes. And this gives it a little bit older and more traditional look. Maybe because it is actually older, 2 centuries older than Caslon. It's easier to see the difference in caps. As you can see, Garamond is a bit more subtle and smooth than Caslon. I would say, to me, it's associated more with some academic text, classic literature, whereas Caslon, to me, looks more like a font for some serious historical documents or something like that. And the third classic serif typeface is Baskerville. It was designed in the early 18th century by John Baskerville, an English printer and typographer. It's also known for its exceptional readability, highly sophisticated and elegant appearance. As you can see, Baskerville has a higher contrast between thin and thick strokes, more sharp serifs and precise letter forms than the first 2 typefaces I've mentioned. And overall, it has a more modern, sharp and crisp look than the first 2. So, from my perspective, out of these 3 fonts, Baskerville is slightly more classy. It brings less of historical reference because it looks both modern and timeless at the same time. And now we move on to sans serif fonts, which are inherently more modern than serif ones. And the first one I'm gonna name is obviously Helvetica, and it would be strange if I started with something else, wouldn't it? As we all know, Helvetica is not just a typeface, it's a cultural icon. It was created in the 1957 by Swiss typeface designer Max Miedinger and Eduard Hoffmann in Switzerland. It quickly gained popularity and became one of the most widely used typefaces in the world. It happened mostly because of its simple design. It's intentionally neutral and devoid of any decorative elements or distinctive features. It was created to be a functional and universal typeface, suitable for a wide range of applications. It's important to note that Helvetica emerged at the right time, which is during the modernist design movement of the mid-20th century, which emphasized simplicity, clarity, and functionality. It was also one of the first typefaces to be digitally adapted, which made it even more accessible and contributed to its widespread use in desktop publishing, web design, and digital media. So, versatility is the key aspect of Helvetica. It's known for its clean lines, uniform stroke weights, and balanced proportion. It also doesn't look vintage or outdated because after its initial wave of popularity, which happened in the 1950s, there was a second wave in the 2010 during the minimalist movement. So you can never go wrong with Helvetica. It's suitable for almost anything. The only thing that may be considered as a downside today is the fact that it's been overused over the years. Definitely more overused than any other typeface I'm going to mention today. So it's worth just to keep that in mind, especially if your goal is to create something really unique, something that no one have never seen before. Maybe it wouldn't be the easiest font to work with. The second sans serif typeface I'd like to talk about is Futura, another iconic, highly widespread typeface. It also emerged during the modernist design movement, but earlier than Helvetica. It was in the beginning of the 20th century. It was developed by a German type designer, Paul Renner. Its design reflects the principles of simplicity, clarity, and functionality as well. However, it's a lot more geometric than Helvetica. It features simple geometric shapes such as circles, triangles, and squares with a consistent stroke. The distinctive features of Futura is the letter A, which is made of a circle and a simple vertical stroke. And in general, all the round shapes of different letters are much closer to the perfect circle rather than the same letters of Helvetica. The letter forms of Futura are much more distinctive and noticeable, which makes this typeface more stylized, whereas Helvetica has a more neutral and understated appearance. Even though Futura is highly legible, widely used in many different contexts, it's still a symbol of modernism. It's more often chosen for projects that require a futuristic or avant-garde aesthetic. In terms of legibility, I'd prefer using Helvetica for long passages of small text because its letters are more neutral and less distracting than the letters of Futura, for example. And the last timeless font I'm going to cover today is Gill Sans. It was designed by Eric Gill, a British sculptor, typeface designer, and printmaker in the 1920s, around the same time as when Futura was designed. Eric Gill drew inspiration from classical Roman inscriptions and London Underground typeface. And because of that classical calligraphy influence, Gill Sans is known for its warm and approachable appearance, which makes it highly versatile. Its clear and legible design makes it suitable for body text, headlines, branding, signage, and other different purposes. At first, it was widely used in British signage, branding, and publications, and later it gained global recognition due to its clarity and legibility. In comparison to Futura and Helvetica, Gill Sans has a slightly more organic feel, with a balance between geometric and humanist elements. Even though it's sans serif, it also looks more classic and elegant than the other two. It's not as neutral as Helvetica and not as modern and avant-garde as Futura. Gill Sans has a more friendly and traditional look, yet it's still highly legible and effective for various design purposes, including long-form text. So these were 6 typefaces which are suitable for almost any design project. They all passed the test of time and proved themselves to be very well legible. In addition, each of these typefaces include an entire family of fonts, ranging from light to extra bold oblique style. And that should be more than enough to solve any design task. Also, I'd like to point out that for different designers, that list may vary. Some may consider including typefaces like Times New Roman, Georgia, Arial, or other renowned fonts. Let me guys know which ones you prefer. And in case if you don't want to stick to only 6 timeless fonts and want to get better at mixing all kind of different fonts, I'm excited to announce the free webinar that I'm gonna run on Saturday on the 6th of April, which is pretty soon. We're gonna dive deep into the font pairing process, what stands behind it, how to make it more effective and less overwhelming. So save the date and don't forget to register. The link is down below. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something from it. And let me know in the comments if you prefer using only timeless fonts or you like using more modern and experimental typefaces that no one have heard of. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to register for the webinar and see you guys next time. Bye!